shooting down in the woods. He wouldn't leave it even if he could. 'Cause life is good, yeah!
Hickok45, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from the beautiful hills of, guess where? Yeah, still, Middle Tennessee, the home of all sorts of people, right? Maybe I shouldn't single anybody out. We have all sorts of great people in Tennessee, just as you do where you live. And you know, we also have some bad ones, just as you do, I'm sure. Everybody has a mix, don't they? Unfortunately, everybody has a mix of famous people, a mix of great people, and then there's always that percentage of serious criminals, actually. Dangerous, very dangerous people. It's a small percentage, I hope, where you live, but still very, very dangerous, even if it's, 0.5%. Those people who are out there that prey on the innocent, it doesn't take many of them. Think about all the groups you've been in. All it takes is one person out of a large group that's a thief or a thug, a bully, or whatever it might be, to make things bad for a lot of people and make things less desirable, even if they don't physically engage you. So anyway, home of a lot of great people, but like everywhere else, got some criminal types, I'm sure. Well, I know. I have met a few of those, but and that's, come think of it, that really is the reason, isn't it, that many of us pack a firearm. Duh. Like, why else? That's the main reason. It's that unlikely, and in most cases very unlikely, event that you would need it. Doesn't happen very often, does it? You may pack a firearm your entire life and never ever actually have to pull it out, and that's a very likely scenario. It's just that the consequences of even that unlikely event occurring can be so devastating. Again, the old analogy of your house burning. Most of you have not had your house burn and lose all your stuff, right? But every single one of you probably has your fire insurance, your homeowner's insurance paid up. You just cannot sleep well if you don't. Again, it's like not having a spare tire in the car. When's the last time you had a flat? For most of us, we might barely remember it. But I'm certainly not going to drive away without a spare tire, in my car. So anyway, I think people in some other countries and in some states in this country that are less free, perhaps, and in urban areas where traditionally, historically, actually carrying a firearm has just been something out of the question, that it's just not a part of their radar, that it seems still very, very strange. And you see comments in the in various videos from people in other countries, especially, and sometimes they're a little obnoxious about it. All the crime over there and everybody killing each other. I'm glad I don't live there and would have to pack a gun and that kind of thing. And they really don't get it. It's not like we're all engaged in firefights every day, and of course you see the worst on the news, right? So most of us, we're never really involved in that. Although I can't speak for everybody. Some of you, well, you're not involved in it hopefully every day, but you may live in a higher crime area than I do. Maybe an apartment or somewhere where you just right now cannot afford something better, and there's a lot of crime there, and there's a lot of seedy people hanging out there. So I feel for you because I've been in those areas a lot. Well, not a great deal. I don't hang out in those areas, but I know what you're dealing with there, and so it's a little different from my day to day. But then again, I'm in the wilderness, so anything can happen anywhere, can it? But some people just don't get it. We are carrying, those of us who do, 99.9% of us, we are carrying because that firearm is like a wallet. as I have said before. If you are safe, you're very proficient, you're comfortable, you're trained, you're experienced, you have experience with a firearm, you're very conscious of the potential danger of it, not treating it with respect. It's like a snake or something. So if you treat it that way, it really is just like your keys and your wallet and anything else you would put in your pocket. To a large extent, it really is. So we don't think that much about it. If you're overseas somewhere listening to me rambling now, please try to get that, and you probably do, or you wouldn't listen to the radio shows. But it's not like we're all facing a gunfight every day, or we're in desperate fear of our lives all the time. It's like Gus said in Lonesome Dove, better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. It's just a simple fact. That's all it is. Now, if you're afraid of firearms, you've never been around firearms, then even that, you might understand the logic of that, because you certainly would understand the logic of having a fire extinguisher or a spare tire, fire insurance and all that. You understand that intellectually, but if you're still kind of afraid of firearms, that it still doesn't compute for you probably, right? And that's the difference. Your entire orientation towards firearms, they are scary, something scary to you. Then that logic, better to have it and not need it than need not have it, it doesn't fly with you. For us, experienced people with firearms, again, it is like a wallet or having a screwdriver in a car or something. Well, you better have your screwdriver, you might need it. It really is. It's almost like that. Okay, so please, if you're in that camp, and it wouldn't be many of you listening, but don't paint everybody with a broad brush. It's reasonable people. Check the statistics in this country. If you live elsewhere, how many violations are there of legal carry permit holders? Just look at the numbers. It's almost infinitesimal. You almost can't take the decimal out far enough. People who actually abuse the carry permit rights, privilege, whatever you want to call that, but it is just almost unheard of. Now it happens because there are millions now, of people who have a legal, 8 million in this country? I think it's the last number I heard. Well, out of 8 million people, I don't care who it is. If you're talking 8 million preachers or 8 million college presidents, you're going to get some child molesters in the group or something, right? You're going to get some abuse. You're going to get someone who's a little more hot-headed and it didn't reveal itself until later or something, So anyway, the numbers are definitely in our favor, like gigantically. So, we find ourselves, of course, making that argument all the time, and I repeat it occasionally, and it's partly my responsibility. I mean, I'm not saying it with disgust or frustration that, why do I have to keep talking about this? It's really not that at all. I feel that as an obligation because I do promote the use of firearms, the safe use of firearms, I think, sporting use of firearms. And, it's part of my obligation to keep reminding people because we do see the attacks coming at us. If someone's decided that's what they're going to think and believe about gun owners, it's hard to change their minds, of course. But it's those people that are just sort of a little wary of it, and they're not sure about that. They don't have experience with firearms or haven't been around gun owners. They've known a couple maybe briefly that seemed okay, but this carrying gun business seems kind of strange. Why would anybody do that? Those are the people that we want to make sure we don't alienate. I mean, there are people, they've been alienated off the planet. Unfortunately, some of them are politicians too, aren't they, that we are in continuous battle with in Washington and at the state level. So the Starbucks, speaking of that, the Starbucks thing that popped up recently, and I'm sure you're familiar with that, and how the CEO or the owner of Starbucks, came out, and again, I know you're familiar with it. I'm not going to go through all of that business about, how they've basically been neutral about gun ownership, whatever the law is in the state. or the city. That's what they go by in their restaurants. If it's legal to carry there, in Nashville or wherever it is, that's fine. Then you may carry there and all that. But then, of course, gun owners, some gun owners have decided to make Starbucks the cause, and the symbolic of gun carry, and it kind of backfired there a little bit. So we've learned the lesson there, I think. But be that as it may, on the local news here a few weeks ago, there when that was the hot topic of that day or two there, they interviewed some guy on the Nashville street. Now I don't know, I don't know what his background was. He was probably 35 years old or so, and in a suit. And I don't know if he was an attorney. I don't think he was smart enough to be an attorney, but he was in a suit, and he was well spoken, seemed to be, and seemingly an intelligent fellow otherwise. But they got the little news clip from him, little what do you call it, a bite, a couple of words from him, stopped him on the street. I guess they stopped him. He might have been sought out. Maybe he's an anti-gunner and the news media sought him out. This was on local network news. But anyway, they interviewed him, and the little sound bites, what I was trying to think of. Wow, speaking of dumb, I take the cake. So the sound bite they got from him was, he said, as the best I can remember, he said, well, I just don't understand why anybody would feel compelled to take a gun into Starbucks anyway. And that was basically what he said. That's almost word for word. He's that word compelled. I don't understand why anybody would feel compelled to take a gun into a Starbucks restaurant. And, just that spoke volumes. Doesn't that just speak volumes? The fact that he would say that, okay? Feel compelled, driven to take a gun into Starbucks. So he's making it sound, maybe he's an actual serious force in the anti-gun side. I don't know. That would be a great line, wouldn't it, to get out there? That would be a good one to use in any argument, pro-gun, anti-gun argument. Why would anybody feel compelled to carry a gun or take a gun here or take a gun there, a weapon? He may have even said weapon. I don't recall. But anyway, that's what they don't get. That's what people just don't get. And this guy might be a really nice guy and lots of common sense, but he just has never been around firearms owners. He's never been around firearms, let's say. He's been in his little bubble. Maybe he does work downtown. Maybe he is in a law office. Maybe he does something. He's just never around people that he's aware of. Of course, he's around a lot of people with firearms if he's in Tennessee. And anywhere almost in this country, just they're concealed, right? But he never has a conversation about firearms. He doesn't think he knows anyone who's carrying one or anything. It's like, why would you need a gun? I mean, you just read that right through him. Why would you need to take a gun to Starbucks? Yeah, and on the face of that, what scares me is how much sense that makes probably to those people on the fence. Whoever, soccer moms, anybody. We don't want to pigeonhole people, but whatever group you want to talk about who we don't feel like is in our camp that really understands, firearms ownership or carry permits and etc. That sounded, I'm sure there were people sitting at their TV that night that heard that much differently than I did. When I heard it, I wanted to gag. And of course, reply, When a lot of people heard that, they're probably thinking, really, why would you feel compelled to take a gun to Starbucks? I've never been attacked at Starbucks. There's no wild animals at Starbucks. Are they keeping tigers and lions at the Starbucks now? Is there a shooting competition for the coffee now at Starbucks? Why would you be compelled? So that probably made sense to a lot of people. Now my answer to that would be, why should I be compelled to do something, find something to do with my firearm just because I want to go have a cup of coffee? Why should I feel pressed or it necessary to hide and lock up my firearm that I have with me all the time just because I'm going into that store, that restaurant? You and I would look at it that way, right? If you have a carry permit, right? So that's what they don't get. Again, if it's like your wallet, pretty much, your keys, It's like, no, don't bring your wallet into McDonald's. We don't want your wallet. Take your money out of your wallet before you come in, your credit card, however you're going to pay. But please, we'd rather not have your wallet in here. Oh, really? Okay, gosh. Well, let's see. I've got some other cards and driver's license. I hope nobody steals it. I have to leave that in the car now? Or find a place to hide it or lock it up? What if I'm just walking to McDonald's or Starbucks and I've got to do something with my wallet now? I can't go in there with it? See? That's the way I look at it. I have to, so this guy, he's on the extreme opposite in this argument and the planet. It's not like, see, I'm going to Starbucks, let me go get my gun so I can go get some coffee. That's why he's looking at that. Oh, people feel like they have to have a gun to go to Starbucks? Duh. No, the problem is you've got to figure out something to do with your firearm that you have spent possibly months and years figuring out the best way to carry, the best holster so that it is a part of you. You dress around it to some extent, and you don't have to think about it. You're carrying it safely, legally, responsibly. It's a non-issue. Then all of a sudden, you got to figure out something to do with your firearm if it's not allowed somewhere, So anyway, I rambled too much about that, didn't I? But yeah, why would you feel compelled to take a gun to Starbucks? I just thought when I heard him say that really spoke volumes, for the way a lot of people think. And if they didn't, when they heard him, he probably convinced them, yeah, that's right. Why would you feel compelled to need a gun and start? No, it's not that. It's what I just discussed anyway. But anyway, it's that, better to have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. I'm not paranoid. Everybody is out to get me. Just look at the comments on YouTube. No, there are a few people out to get me, but no, I'm not paranoid. There's really not people out to get me. And, it's just one of those deals. Firearm is not a scary thing to me. And it's like, why not have it? That's my reaction to that. And probably a lot of you, right? Speaking of that, it flashed through my mind there when I said people are not out to get me or out to get me. I did plan to talk about that. We still have idiots on YouTube. Someone has set up a channel, Hickok45. There's been a couple, 3 of those over the years. And I think when they changed format, it made it harder. But, someone else has one of those. They left a comment, in fact, on the Armory channel. And Pete, I believe is his name, messaged me. He said it didn't sound like anything I would say. And, and he went, it was obviously a fake channel and no subscriptions or something, that kind of thing. But I guess they set it up under a different name. And then they titled it Hickok45. I don't know. I wish people would get a life, but I just want to make you aware of that, help me with that if you can. And if you ever see a comment or any kind of evidence, message of any sort that doesn't sound like me, then it's probably not me. Even if I'm irate about something, I don't get irate very often. I try not to be too big a smart aleck. I do have that sense of humor, though. You see in some of my comments when I do reply to people, I can't resist that sarcasm sometimes. But I am not going to choose the public forum to be a obnoxious smart aleck or anything like that. You know that. So anything that you see that doesn't sound like something I would write or say, don't just be aware it's not me, but please save it and let me know about it, because YouTube is going to have to deal with that one and any others that pop up. And we are trademarked now, so we can even take legal action. Obviously, it's an impersonation. So just please help me with that. Mainly, let them know where they need to go hide, and get off the planet and get a life or something. But please let me know and save anything like that you would get. Help me out with that. I appreciate it. I'm trying to talk fast because I want to catch the Titans game, but I've got time. One thing that helps me out is I still haven't replaced my recorder and figured out the problem with it. So I still can't review anything I say. And you talk about a reality show. here I talk for an hour, whatever these things last, and I can't even play back little segments or anything to see if I made no sense or made less sense than I normally do even. So, oh well, just be aware of that. It's definitely it's like most of the videos. It's a one take deal, but that's again is the beauty of it. That's why I do it. That's why I do. I know y'all like to see, some of you would like to see this on iTunes and do this and have a camera up and all. Well, I wouldn't do it if I had to do all that. It's just a kind of a chance to chat with you and just turn on my little recorder and, I don't know, we may change the format someday, but this is just something extra that I do occasionally when I'm in the mood. We do a lot of videos, and that's the main thing. And then just managing Hickok45 is a full-time job, but it just is what it is. And it definitely is a reality show because I can't even play it back till I put it on the computer, and I don't do that till I'm finished yakking. So, I mean, I've got that third wheel, that third eye in my head, I guess. I know if I say, I mean, I'll normally catch myself if I say something like totally wrong, totally stupid, or if I were to use bad language. I mean, I would catch all that. I think, at least I think I would. Probably having taught for so many years helps me with this because, and in the videos yakking, because I'm not likely to just say something totally stupid, and I do make mistakes, and I'll say, call a gun a wrong model or something occasionally, but when you teach youngsters and you got the weird sense of humor I have, you got to have that other wheel up there in your head, that monitor kind of listening to yourself and making sure, because I can't tell you how many times in the classroom as we're discussing things, maybe a piece of literature or whatever it is, that a story comes to my mind or a joke, and I think, better not tell that. No, that's a little too mature, or they wouldn't get that, or except the fact they wouldn't get it would probably never stop me, right? I might tell it because of that. That's part of the pain, saying things they don't understand. But anyway, this is the reality show. Okay, speaking of reality, guess what I just picked up? A big old heavy rifle. Since this is a firearms kind of channel, most of the time. Let's see if you can tell what it is. Well, there again, a lot of you probably could tell, at least, that it's a lever action. If I'm not mistaken, I think on the last show I had a lever action out here. Maybe the 92? Don't recall. My brain only goes back a couple of days. And that's when I'm lucky. But, yeah, I've got a lever gun out here, and I've been messing with. Should I tell you what it is? It's a different one. It's not one you've seen. And in fact, I fired it for the first time yesterday, and that was the first time I have ever fired this rifle, or a rifle like this model of rifle. Get it right in a minute. I guess I'll tell you, since you're sitting through this boring thing, it is a it's U-Birdie. It's a Taylor's. Came from Taylor's, the importer, made by U-Birdie. It's a Yellow Boy 1866. Yeah, I hear you Western fans out there clapping, applauding, looking for the video already, right? Yeah, boy, if you like the Westerns and maybe you even do some cowboy action shooting, or you have some of these kinds of rifles, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This, the Yellow Boy, it's very similar to the, for those who don't know, it's basically an improvement over the Henry rifle, and then I guess you could say the 1873, which is also a classic, was maybe some further improvement, but not as much so probably as this one over the Henry. But this one looks more like the Henry, even though I guess you could say it's more like the 1873. It strikes you more more like the Henry because of the brass frame. and I'll talk about that in the video when we do a video on it and how it differs from that. But it's that pretty rifle that you see in the westerns and you see at gun shows. You may see originals, and again, like a Henry, they're very expensive. And it's a firearm you probably are not all that motivated to purchase. I'm not in terms of the originals because it used that 44 rimfire, same cartridge the Henry uses. So where are you going to find 44 rimfire cartridges? Walmart? Your local gun shop? In a bulk pack? Yeah, dream on. So you're really not going to shoot an original because you're not going to have any ammo. So reproduction is the way to go. And of course, Birdie makes a beautiful reproduction. And I mean, it is gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. And they had used this, I think, in a trade show. And I had asked for one. I've got a wish list into Taylor's. This is on it. And they came by it and sent it to me, but it had been at a trade show, and the firing pin was not in it. It was funny. The marketing guy sent it to me and felt really bad about it, but anybody can make a mistake, even me, right? So I went out to fire it and click, nothing hit the primer, and I knew immediately because I think he had mentioned that was going to be their trade show gun or whatever when I sent it back, or it had been, and I said, okay, I know what the deal is, and it's not easy to take apart, though, to figure it out, but I could tell it just didn't seem to have a firing pin. So I wrote them, and man, they FedExed me one. I had it the next day. And in my contact there, wanted to know if I just wanted to send the rifle back for them to, have the gunsmith to install it, or, what I wanted to do. I said, no, just send it to me. I'll figure it out. All the while I was thinking back to the day I took my 1873 apart. A couple of years back, several years back, I guess. And I remembered some of the difficulty I had with it and had it all spread out, and pretty much convinced myself I would not be taking it apart very often unless necessary. It's the same operation. And no, just send it. I'll get into it. And I did yesterday. I blocked out a couple hours and man, got a good cigar and got my mind right and some directions, the best information I could find. It wasn't all that great. And I did it, and I was successful. It actually fired and everything. I didn't damage the rifle, I don't think, and so it now has a firing pin. And I learned a little bit more about the rifle that way. That's one way to learn about it, isn't it? Take the thing apart. So, and it's not the firing pin and the bolt, taking the bolt. Once you get to where you can get the bolt apart, the bolt's kind of in, I guess you could say, two pieces. The extension that comes out the back of these guns is a separate piece from the bolt. It connects in a weird kind of way, and there's a pin there and all that. But once you get to that, it's no problem. Put the pin in, sneak it in. You don't even have to take the bolt out of the gun to get the pin back up in there. It's a little tricky. It's getting the toggle links back in there and the side plates on, and the lever springs position correctly and all that stuff. You end up messing up the lifter block and all this stuff, boy. But anyway, it's working, so hopefully it'll continue working. But a beautiful gun, interesting piece of history. I mean, this thing is gorgeous, and it's essentially the same as the 1873. You got to shoot these things all day, and they hold. I think in this day, the full-length barrel, like I've got, the 24-inch held 17 rounds, I think, of 44 rimfire. And that's a fairly short cartridge. It won't hold that many, 45s. I got it in 45 and 45 Colt. But 17 rounds. Think about that. 1860. I think it wasn't really in full production until 67 or 68, but think about that. There weren't many people carrying cartridges around, except in some of those little Smith & Wesson guns. That was just right at the time when they were starting to maybe do some of the conversions on the percussion pistols and such, and here all of a sudden and think in terms of long guns, rifles. What did people have as a rifle? Unless you happened to be lucky and had a lot of money and you got your hands on one of those Henry rifles that became available in about 1862. It's an 1860 model, but I think, again, it wasn't out there until about 62. And there weren't like hundreds of thousands of those around. So most people had a single-shot rifle. Maybe a cartridge gun, but not really. There weren't really many cartridges, paper cartridges. We're talking before 1870 here. But yet, whammo, here comes this beautiful lever gun, Winchester, the first gun called Winchester, smooth lever action that holds 17 rounds. So that was, I don't know what that'd be like today. Be like, it'd be more of a dramatic change than having Uzis at the local Walmart. It's just amazing. So anyway, beautiful gun, and we'll talk a little history, and we'll shoot it and have some fun with that. I love these old Wild West guns just as much as I enjoy, the Glock again, or a Sten gun, or whatever it is. Guns are just interesting. Did you ever notice that? I'll bet you figured out that I find firearms interesting. And I want to know how you figured that out. What a comedian I am. Getting back to what I was talking about earlier, too, with people around YouTube or the internet, showing no class, help me out with that when you can. I really appreciate that. I don't let that stuff bother me much, because I know, when you've got millions of people anonymous, obviously it's a crazy scenario, right? So if I let that bother me too much, it would really speak to my character. It would speak to my mental stability or my mental toughness or whatever, if you let that kind of thing bother you too much, because, again, you got everybody and his brother in his basement, whether they have mental problems or they're 13 or they're 27 or they're drunk or they just have no class or they've not been raised well, duh, to worry too much or be offended or feel bad about something someone says or does on the internet is I guess the height of stupidity in some ways, although sometimes it's hard to ignore it. But you do have a lot of bullies, and then you got people that just have no sense of right and wrong. For example, we get videos taken and stolen and uploaded under other names, and weird stuff like that. Like the pumpkin carving is what reminded me of that recently, because that's seems like one of the most stealable videos we do is the pumpkin carving, and people will just download it, put it up on their channel, and even activate AdSense, on it. Like, what kind of mentality is that? I often say, that why didn't I think of that? I'm going to start taking. Let's see, what could I do? I could get some cool songs, couldn't I, through iTunes, and get all of my favorite artists' songs and create my own CD and just sell it. Why not? Get all my favorite Alan Jackson songs or whoever, ZZ Top and Bob Dylan, put them all together and market that thing. Hey, I'll sell them to you guys. I could put it on the channel. Yeah, we got a lot of following here. A lot of gullible people like you all, right? You'd do that. You'd buy them, wouldn't you? I could even tell you that I sang all these songs. I wrote all these songs. I sang them. I don't know. It's a crazy world. But anyway, appreciate any help with that. And occasionally there are people who just don't get it. There was one recently that had a video, and I wrote them, and they just really thought, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you couldn't do that, or that and the person really seemed genuine about it. They were all apologetic and loved the stuff we do and everything. They just wanted something about helping to promote our videos on their channel, but they downloaded it and upload. It's one thing when someone links. We love it when people link to the videos, but when you actually take the video down and upload it, it's like, duh. Wow, I don't know. Anyway, interesting world out there. Scary sometimes, isn't it? This bullying business going on in the news. It's just having taught for so many years, bullying is one of those things that is, I don't know that it's near and dear to my heart, but it's something I have experience with because I'm an expert bully. I bullied kids every day and thoroughly enjoy it. No, just kidding. But it was something that we dealt with, and you deal with when you're teaching, and you try to limit it. It was really a major push and a cause of ours to try to eliminate that as much. I would say totally, but you can never do that. Absolutely, as much as possible, because particularly 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15. That's just the age where it's almost a natural thing for them to do some of that, and it still is not good. One of the things that bothered me the most in teaching was when I'd find out that some little girl or some little guy was just being tormented by a group. And I don't mean being roughed up or threatened, not where I taught. And it was a private situation, and you didn't have that kind of issues going on, any kind of violence or danger. But still, if you're 13 years old and everybody's making fun of you and ostracizing you from the group all the time, and whatever it is, and won't sit with you at lunch, no one will sit with you at lunch, or what? Those are big things in a poor little kid's mind. They're forced to go to school. They have to be there. They're forced, in a sense, to socialize with this group of people they've been thrown in with. And they really deserve not to be tormented, really, except by their teachers, like me, of course. They deserve not to be abused. They really do. And, I mean, it really should be their right not to be abused. And in any way, psychologically or whatever. Now, everybody's going to get some of it. That's part of growing up. But so it would always strike me as really interesting that it would seem to me so often that one of the neatest kids, guys or girls, would be targeted. I mean, it really was. It was a perplexing thing. It was a perplexing situation. That happened over and over whenever. I mean, it didn't happen every day, but we tried to stay on top of that. So we would, if we got wind of it, or if anybody got wind of it, an extreme situation, or the kid was in the counselor's office, or the parents called, listen, little Johnny won't say anything. He's afraid to say anything to anybody, but there's a couple of guys doing this, or girls are doing this, that kind of thing. It just comes up in the school building, and or it could be more than that. It could be like, it feels like half the class is after him about this, or making fun of him about this, or whatever it might be. And invariably, it would be. I mean, you try not to have favorites too much, but you do in a way. It would often be a favorite kid. I mean, just what? He's one of the neatest kids in the school, or she is. What's the deal? They're pick. I kind of came to realize as the years rolled on, that is kind of part of the reason. If you're not part of the group, and some kids are just more adult oriented, or they're more mature for their age, and they find their classmates just maybe kind of silly. Not that they criticize them, but they have more in common with the teachers. So they're chatting with the teachers, and they're not as interested in some of the silly games the other 13-year-olds or 14-year-olds are interested in, or the gossiping, or whatever it is. They really are. They may be more intelligent and more mature for their age, and so they really do not fit as well into the group. They don't do anything to antagonize anybody. They're just not involved in all the little social gossip and stuff as much, and maybe as close to their classmates or whatever, and so that puts them at risk of being targeted in some way, especially if they're in any way different. But anyway, I've always I don't know, it's always been a pet peeve of mine when people are bullied like that. They can't do anything about it. Some of that's going to go on. It builds character. You get a little bit of that. We all got it. But there's just no reason for somebody to be miserable. And of course, the stuff in the news lately where you find out that the girl who committed suicide jumped off the tower or whatever, and on one hand you think, come on, kids, have some common sense. It doesn't matter what these people write to you on Facebook or what they say to you. It's stupid. They're extremely immature. How can you let that bother you? But that doesn't fly. That makes sense to you and me maybe as adults, but when you're 13 or 14 and people are doing that to you constantly or putting stuff online, the bullies, it gets to them. It gets to them, and it's a shame. But I don't know how I got off on all that. But there are bullies in the world, and it's a shame that we don't have some kind of monitor that whenever you really are bullying somebody and being absolutely mean, your ear gets pulled or something, or you get your ear burns, or you. Well, you all remember that movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still, where the aliens came, and it was Michael Rennie, and there was a remake of it too, not too long ago, I guess, but had that super robot. And they had that super population of robots that they were going to put them on Earth, as I recall, and on their planet, they prevented wars and people abusing each other, because if anybody's tried to start up a war, those robots would kick into gear and destroy them or something. So maybe that's what we need, something like that, anti-bullying super robots. What else was I going to talk about? Oh, man, I don't know. The pumpkin carving again. We got some pumpkin killing. We'll have up, I don't know, maybe about the time I put this up here in a day or two. We got most of the pumpkin killing done, and I think it's a pretty good one this year. John's going to edit it together, and we got one piece that we're kind of finishing up, and then he'll get it put together, and we'll post it right away, probably this week. But that's actually one of my favorites, those pumpkin carving videos, more so than or pumpkin killing videos. I like the pumpkin carving, but the pumpkin carving videos are the ones the world seems to like so much. But to me, the pumpkin killing videos are actually more entertaining and better and fun. I can sit and watch those things. So we had some new killing methods this year. Speaking of bullying, I apologize. I know I'm being hypocritical talking about how much I hate bullies, and then here, what do? I spend a good portion of my time bullying pumpkins and watermelons. I'm sorry. We all have that element of hypocrisy in us. I just can't help it. But anyway, some pumpkins have bitten the dust in some unusual ways around the compound, and you'll be seeing that before long. So check that one out. Those are fun. We enjoy doing those. We really, I told John, we ought to make all those separate videos, really. I mean, if we had a marketing brain, that's what we'd do, I guess. I mean, each one of them be its own video. Each one would probably get 1 million views over time, But we just stick them all together, 10 or so methods we come up with that pumpkins ought to be killed, methods in which they ought to be killed, and stick it together each year. And we'll continue doing that. Yeah. I think we'll probably not run out of methods, so we'll keep killing them for you. Somebody's got to do this stuff, just the way it is. Hope you all enjoyed the Benelli shotgun video we posted recently. Is there anything more fun than shooting a shotgun? We need to do more shotgun videos. I know y'all enjoy them, and I enjoy doing them. I love, shooting a shotgun. There is just nothing like it. And the versatility, with birdshot, double-aught buck, slugs. I go through a lot of slugs. I mean, how many? Probably the average hunter or the average person that even shoots and has shotguns buys about 5 slugs a year, or 2 boxes of 5, and maybe 10 slugs, and goes through 10 slugs. Oh man, I'll pick up 6 or 7 bulk packs of them if I see them somewhere at a decent price, just several times a year, because I shoot them, as you know. And of course, it's because of the videos, partly, mainly. I don't trim trees with slugs. That'd be a little dangerous. I trim trees with birdshot, but slugs are just a blast, dare I say. Quite a large caliber rifle, right? And fun, man, no doubt about it. And I get a lot of requests to do other shotguns. Some I'm not familiar with, some I am. Whether it's a Rimming 1100 or some of the newer Mossbergs and different things. And I need to maybe try to do that. But again, as I've discussed before, it's funny. People will say, could you pick, and they'll say, would you pick out 2 or 3 of these guns to do? Or that, like I have this unlimited supply of firearms somewhere, and I'm walking through this gigantic room like a gun show, and I just keep picking out these certain guns, and I keep ignoring the guns they want or something. Well, I'm just like you guys. I have some firearms, but I am limited to whatever I might buy or trade for, and then what people offer to lend us. So it is rather random. And then sometimes there are firearms I go for. I make a little more effort to try to get my hands on if I have some trading material, or or if it's something that we just really need to do. It's a firearm that everybody wants to see, whatever it is. I may call the company and see if I can get them to send me one on T&E, or whatever it might be. Like Remington 1100 is a good example. That's a classic semi-automatic shotgun. I personally have never actually owned one, but I know a lot of people who have, and that'd be a good one to do sometime. It's a classic, like this 1866 sitting here. It's a classic shotgun, but just nobody's offered to lend us one, and I'm probably not going to buy one. I don't really need one. I've got the Benelli, so I don't need another semi-automatic shotgun, I guess. I don't know. It's a weird thing, but again, it's not that we're ignoring someone who might keep, or several people might keep suggesting certain firearms. It's just someone's got to offer to lend it here in Middle Tennessee, or we just have to come by one somehow at some point. And we got everything else going on, and guns being offered, or videos to do, and that sort of thing. I will eventually get around to most of the common firearms, I think. But there is that element of randomness, to it. Just the nature of it, since I do not own every firearm out there. Someone might ask, what's this, Glock 27 again? Or Glock 23 again, or whatever Glock that we might do a video with. And part of that is just the nature of our channel. It's a weird mix. This whole YouTube thing, isn't it? When you think about it, it's a strange endeavor. We're accustomed to, in the entertainment world, or visual world, movie world, video world, I don't know, depending on where we look, on TV, kind of a different sort of animal. And then even within the YouTube world, even within the YouTube shooting video community, we're all different. We all do different things. People specialize in different types of firearms sometimes. We don't really, I guess, stick to one type of firearm, because I like them all, and so we try to give a lot of variety. I think that's one of the characteristics of our channel. But everybody is so different in what they do, and I don't know how to describe what we do exactly, but I just like getting a Glock out every now and then, and I like getting my favorite guns out every now and then. We don't really see this as all right, strictly business now. We have done this gun. Well, you can't do that gun again for 6 months or anything like that. And it's kind of a mix of a reality show, I guess, information. It's me. It's kind of sharing my interests with you. That's part of it. So because of that, because of me and my own peculiarities and my weirdness, you have to suffer through my favorite firearms or my favorite things to do. The whole nature of it is that. I set up most of this range before we started doing videos. So you're at the mercy of what I like to shoot, right? Targets that I like to shoot. That's just kind of what we do. The way I like to describe a gun or whatever. So there's that element of just me, what Hickok45 likes to shoot, and here he is bringing it again because he loves to shoot a Glock 27 and has an excuse to do it, and he's going to kind of update you on how this gun's going and what modifications he's made to it with the sights, that kind of stuff, or holsters. When I talk about a holster, it's because usually I like it. It's one I think you would like. It's not because I'm reviewing 32 holsters a year or something. So I don't know. All this is weird, and everybody's different, and that's the beauty of it, though, isn't it? You do get information. You get hopefully objective information on all the channels, and you also get to know somebody you didn't know and what their interests are, and that's just kind of the way it is. But I love to bring out the old Glock 27. I've been wearing it for the last few weeks. That's my favorite, probably, carry gun. It's now I know I've got a video FAQ that the Glock 23 at the time was my favorite pistol or whatever, and I do. I really like the 23. I could argue it's my favorite. For carry, for those of you who are in the Glock world, this of course extrapolates to any of the M&P world and some of the other. I'm not as familiar with all the models, even though I've had some of them here. But the I'll say mid-size and small, the smallest. Okay, the baby Glocks being the smallest that Glock makes. They are so much easier to carry on a regular basis because you're getting in and out of cars and everything else, and you're not getting jabbed in the side. They are just, you wouldn't think it'd make that much difference, but there's a big difference between a Glock 23 or 19 and the 27 or 26 in that regard. And if you shoot them equally well, it's a kind of a why not, in a lot of ways. So that's where I end up with the Glock 27 usually. It's just like it's not there, but yet it is a serious combat weapon, right? I mean, it's a firearm you could go to war with if you practiced with it. You really could. Here I am, deja vu. Seems like I've talked about this before, but I could, if I was really in the military and they're decking us out with our armament and say, okay, here you go. You want the Brad M9, you want a Glock 17, you want a Glock 26, Glock, you can have any Glock or any M&P you want, whatever. Well, just give me a Glock 27, and give me whatever 2 or 4 extra longer magazines with it that I carry on my offside. But Glock 27's fine. I can hit about anything with it that I can hit with an M9 or anything else, and look how small it is, and it's extremely reliable. So, and you can say the same for a lot of guns, not just Glocks. So that's the thing about the Glock 27. I made a comment, I think, on that video. Some people consider those baby Glocks almost a professional's gun. Now, what they mean, that sounds elitist, but what people mean by that is it's you might not want a gun that small, really, if you don't have a lot of experience shooting. I came to the 27 and 26 after I had, shot a lot. I shot a lot of Glocks even, and I was motivated because of what I've talked about. I was motivated to learn to shoot them well because there were all those other advantages. They take all the same magazines that the Glock 17 does, or Glock 18, or the Glock 19, 23, you name it, Glock 22. They will handle all those magazines. So capacity is really not an issue, except for the first time you pull it out. You might have a few less rounds. But there was something attractive there. There is an attraction to a gun like that can be, if you work with it a little bit, it can be as effective as virtually any pistol someone could hand you. Okay? That is very close to being true. If you work with them, they can be just as effective as anything. And look how small that package is, and still have nice capacity, and you've got ultimate reliability and all that stuff. Okay, here I am selling the Glock 27 again, 26. So there was an attraction to it for me. That's one reason I started working on the grip way back when, and dremeling under the trigger guard a little bit, get that hump off there. And I've got a Glock mods video where I show that, and using the strips of sandpaper tape. And then of course, when Talon grips came along, I went to that. But getting that thing outfitted so it fits, sticks in my hand, was important to me because there was such an upside to it. There's so much potential there. In a gun that small, pistol that small, it'll do anything the big boys will do. So anyway, kind of got off track there. I get excited about firearms. I don't know if you noticed that. I kind of like firearms. They're a lot of fun to shoot. I don't guess I've talked to you all since Knob Creek, right? Right, that was last Saturday. So, yeah, John and I went up to Knob Creek machine gun shoot and had a good time. We stayed for the night shoot, at least the first part of it, and enjoyed that immensely. It's again one of those things that if you've never been, you need to get there if you possibly can. It's quite unique, quite interesting. I mean, you walk away from there thinking, you can't help but think, wow, what a great country this is. Even with all the craziness going on and the attempts to limit our freedom, there is a lot of freedom, and we're able to do a lot of cool things, and we want to hang on to that. Hanging out at Knob Creek is a good reminder of that. But it's a fascinating event and great range up there. Just all the incredible machine guns you see, you name it, and it's there. Cannon, just everything, and they're firing them. It's something all at once, and you can rent. You can't rent and walk around with a machine gun, but you get in line if you haven't been to one of those, and you pay your money, whether it's $50 or $100 or $75, and you can. You can shoot a fully automatic AK-47, shoot a magazine out, at an appliance or something, that sort of thing. So there's that side to it, down on the rental range, as they call it. And there's usually a sub-gun match going on, kind of an IPSC with, submachine guns going on, usually during the event. Huge gun show going on. Of course, they've got a very large gun shop there at the range. It's open. There's a cafeteria kind of restaurant thing there. They've got a band playing, and then every so often, every hour, or it just depends on the time of day. I think they've changed it up over the years, but at various intervals, they will announce that they're about to fire again, and everybody will cut loose. They'll replace the targets or upgrade the targets out there, and they have these huge electrical wire spools out on the range, and they'll set cars on them or appliances, whatever, and then shoot them all up. Sounds like fun, huh? Reminds you of anybody you know. So, cool event, and saw a lot of you all there. I think we set a record in terms of running into viewers, and that was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Interesting that we'd run into so many viewers at an event like that. Gun nuts kind of hang out together, don't we? By the way, as always happens, as winter approaches or even fall, you'll be seeing some videos where the weather doesn't look exactly right. We have a few videos, all various things that we're not going to throw them all up at once. And when the leaves are off, you might see a video where there's some green leaves in that video, or some fall leaves when there's no leaves. So y'all are aware of that by now, I think. And then of course you see some where it looks about right for the season, and that's just the way we operate. We might do a video today and post it today. Then again, we might post a video today that we did 3 weeks ago or something, or 3 months ago. I don't know. If it's something we've been hanging on to, it just depends. And that's Hollywood, right? That's the way it goes. When you think about your favorite show on TV, it was probably filmed a year earlier or 9 months earlier, quite often, right? Well, with what we do, a lot of it is very recent, but then again, sometimes it's not. And you can tell by the terrain or the weather and all that. But and we're not sure once we do a video when we're going to post it. Sometimes if it's that next day, or if it's a few weeks later, or whatever. So I might be complaining about the heat, in December, or as it gets into spring, I might be shooting into the snow in May. I don't know, but that's kind of neat too. We ought to, if we have a big snow, we should make it. We keep saying we're going to do that. Do a video in the snow, and then post it in the middle of July or something. So, but anyway, we will continue doing videos because you guys have such poor taste that you keep watching them. And not sure what's wrong with you, but we're glad it is wrong with you, because even after all these years, I still enjoy making the videos. I think it's probably because I enjoy shooting and I enjoy fun. And this enables me, John too, to combine fun with shooting in a lot of cases. So it's kind of cool. And it's helped me learn a whole lot about firearms I might not otherwise have learned about, as I've discussed before. It gets me into some firearms that I, maybe were not even on my radar, or they got put on my radar by you all, or they got offered to us to use, and because of that, I learned more about it, and it was an interesting firearm. Of course, that's happened lots of times, whether it's a Makarov or you name it, any number of firearms, Sten gun that I would not have gone out and sought, but we had the opportunity to bring one to you, and for me to learn more about it, and that's cool. So we're in a lot of ways the vehicle that just brings this stuff to you, and we appreciate the people immensely that lend us these firearms. I have a lot of firearms, and I'm trading around myself, some too, and buying one occasionally, and as you know. But one of the mainstays has been the last couple of years is people that offer to lend us a firearm. It's really cool, because I get to shoot it, learn about it, and bring it to you all, and then return it. So that goes for individuals, in Middle Tennessee, as well as some of the gun companies that lend us firearms. The T&E guns. That's pretty cool. That Taylor's and Company is sending us firearms. Whenever you get an opportunity, if you're at a trade show or anywhere, and you run across a setup, whether it's a Ruger or Glock even, or like Taylor's and Company, anybody CZ that has lent us firearms in the industry, please thank them if you are of a mind to, because we appreciate it, and I know that the most of you all appreciate their lending those firearms to us so that we can bring them to you. And I'm really happy that Taylor's was willing to. Here as I hold this 1866 in my hand. It's hard to put it down. Just a beautiful firearm. That brass is gorgeous, and the wood and the blued steel and everything. These are expensive too. These are not cheap. And to send those out, for T&E like this, they don't do much of that. I know they do with gun writers, but my guess is this is kind of a new thing to send them out to YouTubers. So I really appreciate their doing that, because they don't necessarily get a lot out of that, and the gun becomes a used gun after that, and it's not worth as much. And some of these are expensive and I won't say delicate, but they're a gun like this one, for example. I could end up scratching the barrel or something if I'm not really careful, which I don't tend to do much of that, but and render it worth several $100s less, than they could have sold it for. So anyway, I really am glad, mainly, but they have got such a catalog, Taylor's and Company, and I have a long wish list into them, and I'm hoping to get some other firearms from them down the road. And they are a major contributor, as I look at it, to the Hickok45 project here. Just what we're doing, the endeavor. That is a major contribution, because these are the kinds of firearms they're harder to get hold of if you don't own them or buy them. These Western guns, guns like this, I think, that Smith & Wesson reproduction, that Model 3, the Schofield-like, firearm I've done, top break. You just don't find those everywhere, and less likely that somebody's going to lend one of those too. Although I did have an offer to lend a Schofield, and I just lost the file. I don't know who that is. If you're listening, contact me again, would you please, if you're in Middle Tennessee, and you were. I'm thinking you were in Murfreesboro, and I just overwrote that file. I don't do that very often. I'm really careful about that, but that one I did. You know, you open up a file, change it, and then save it under a different name. You know, I've been doing that for 30 years, and I overwrote that one by mistake, and when you know it, on a Schofield. But we got the top break in. I still like to do a Schofield at some point, and a Henry. You know, if any of y'all have any of those firearms, you know, in Middle Tennessee, you know, and willing to lend them, that'd be great too. I'm hoping to get a Henry from Taylor's and Company eventually. Some of these guns, they have a hard time getting in and hanging on to and all that kind of thing. So it just depends. But we appreciate all the folks that have been lending us firearms, and we mostly appreciate y'all watching and listening, and the support around the channel, helping to answer questions, helping the newbies out, helping the trolls out the door, and just that kind of stuff. It really is nice to see that some of you have my back on stuff, you know, because it's just, man, 800 plus videos. It's just a lot out there. It's a great, it's a very fertile ground for trolls and, you know, the jealous trolls and all that kind of stuff. Just troublemakers. They're all anonymous, and so, you know, there's just no limit to that. But by and large, you know, the channel's pretty civil, I think, as compared with a lot of others. And we get right down to it. The videos are the main thing. You know, the videos are what it's all about. And I know that you all and a lot of people like to make comments, and, you know, I read a lot of the comments. But you get right down to it, it's about the videos. You know, I mean, most formats, you don't even get to comment. If you're watching, you know, your favorite TV series or whatever, you know, there is no comment. That's not a part of it. It's just watching it, whether you like it or not, you know, or watching it if you like it, you know. And I try to keep that in mind too. You know, there are people that, you know, the videos as I view them in a lot of ways, they are there to inform and to answer questions about firearms. That's really one of the things I am doing when we do a video, trying to bring information about this particular video. Now, some of them are just strictly entertainment, just fun, but a lot of them are to bring information about firearms, whether it's an FAQ videos and whatever it is. And occasionally I'll get someone will write me and want to know, you know, want me to write them all this information, you know, have 6 different questions about different firearm, all this kind of stuff. It's out there. It's in all the videos. You know, I can't do the videos and also write essays to people all the time. You know, if you're one of those people, and I'll usually give a brief answer, and not a smart aleck answer, but I'll answer some of it quickly and move to the next email. But the videos have to be the primary vehicle for the dissemination of information. You know, really, that's why we do them in large part. And I know that everybody, especially we're getting around 1,000 new subscribers every day, so there's a lot of new people all the time. So I can't just, you know, write them, you know, keep up with that, of course. There's no way. They just got to work their way through the videos and search the channel. And I think that's something a lot of people still do not realize, that you can go to anybody's channel and click on the little, the little magnifying glass there, window, and search that specific channanel for, you know, anything you're looking for, and pop up. You know, use the right words, right keywords. So that's another thing you could help people with if they don't seem to know what they're doing or how to find something. And one of these days I'll get everything in playlists too. That would help. You know, that was my summer project, and I got started on that, and I went through several pages of videos. And I'll be darned if I didn't get to looking around some of those playlists, and some of those videos I knew I put in playlists were not there. I said, whoa, hold the wagon. This is a major project, and I quit working on it. I think it was about the time they were messing with, or starting to mess with YouTube. You know, how it seems like every month or two they go through some transformation. They're upgrading, quote unquote, doing something with it. And I don't know if that was it or what, but I do have a lot of work to do there, getting all these videos in a playlist. A lot of them are there, but a lot are not. Like, as in probably about 300 or 400 of them are not in playlists. So hopefully people are just searching the channel and not just relying on the playlist. So just, yeah, that would be another thing. I'm reminding you, of course, and you maybe help me remind people if they're looking for something that it may not be in a playlist. But eventually it will be. If it's working now, and there's a couple of different ways to get them in a playlist, and I need to do that the most efficient way. So once I get started doing that, I can, over a period of about a month maybe, I can get all the videos in a playlist and know they're there and that they're really there. But I don't know, probably in the middle of that there'll be another transformation of YouTube. They're going through a lot of things, and I still, when I go to the channel page, I don't know about you, but this is still, as of today here, we're getting towards the end of October. If I want to check my personal messages, which I do every day, answer a lot of them, I have to click on someone else's channel, then click on About, because that's where you go to send somebody a personal message. You click on About at their channel, and that'll give you the window, personal message, send message, I guess it says. I click on send message, even though I'm not sending them a message, and only then do I get the button over in the left-hand column that says personal messages. Now figure that one out. That's the only way I have been able to find a way to get to that button to check my personal messages since they changed the menus around. So that's what I have to do. I mean, that's 3 or 4 different steps. I mean, it's not impossible or anything. And then that takes me to my personal messages, and I start working my way through those on any given day. And if I get out of it, I go to a link or mess around, then I got to go back through that to get back to my list of personal messages. Now, why in the world they took that button, that menu item, off of my home page, I don't know. I'm assuming it's like that for everybody, but maybe something I just need to go in and reconfigure now or something. But anyway, they're messing with it all the time, it seems like, and hopefully it won't all disappear or something. So if you don't hear from me again, look for me somewhere. Facebook, I guess. That was the main reason I set that up early on, to have a place to get back a hold of you all if they axe us all out of YouTube or something. But wow. And then now we've got the Google Plus. Whether you like it or not, you've got a Google Plus account, or I've got a couple of them, I guess. And I don't know, it looks like there's a lot of activity over there, and I get these messages about you can add so-and-so to your circle of friends or circle of this or that, and I'm not even sure how to do that. I think I made a comment recently over there in Google Plus that I hope I'm not ignoring anybody. I need to set that up so that, I don't know if that's like Facebook or the other social locations where you've got to accept people before they can, I don't know, be your friend or whatever they call it, or in your circle over there, or what exactly, or communicate about, I don't know. I think it looks like the videos are being posted over there automatically whenever we post a video, and because some people have told me they like, being notified. Apparently a lot of people use Google Plus. I mean, at least I'm hearing from them, and they like being notified that we've posted a video, at Google Plus, and that's happening automatically. So I don't think that was anything I configured. So I'll figure all this out, I guess. It's I can't go to 14 different places, and communicate with people. I want to start uploading more pictures, just random things, just things around the compound, things we do, a gun we got out, or just whatever it is. Maybe it's a teaser picture of a video we're working on or going to be posting soon, that kind of thing. Now, I'm not sure where the best place to put that is. And Facebook or Google Plus or somewhere else. I'm not going to do it in 3 or 4 different places. You might let me know what you think about that. What is this like beta and VHS? What is going to settle out to be the destination? Is it going to be Google Plus? Is it going to be Facebook? Is there going to be some other place? But anyway, can't badmouth it too much because it's the reason we're able to do all this, isn't it? We're able to do a video. We're able to pass along all this wonderful education and brilliance from me to you, right? This is the internet and YouTube allows us to do that, to share and to stay in touch and to share our hobby, right? We all have a similar interest here. And this is a wonderful way to be able to do it, to do videos and pictures and share this stuff. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. We've, in a sense, removed the gatekeeper, of old. And, just think about it. I used to think I wanted to maybe write articles for gun magazines and actually prepared a couple back in the day and never did follow through with it. But you had the gatekeepers of the gun rags, and they had their cadre of writers. It's pretty hard to just Joe Blow to start writing articles, unless you're pretty serious and they loved you and maybe you start getting them in one of the magazines. But, there's no gatekeeper here. As you all know, a lot of you all do videos and you can post it and there it is. So it's pretty cool. I can ramble here on this digital recorder and post it tomorrow, next day, and whatever I say here, it's all over the planet. All this ignorance is spread like wildfire, right? So it's a pretty cool world. Just a double-edged sword. Oh, there's the Homeland Security calling. I'll get back to you. Okay, like I said, it's reality TV, reality radio. That was John calling. And he's going to come by in a few minutes and work on the pumpkin killing video I mentioned earlier. So we'll hopefully get that up this week and enjoy that now. We go to a lot of work. We put our brains together on that now. It really, it's an exhausting endeavor to figure out new ways to kill pumpkins for you all. So I hope you appreciate it. Okay? I want you to enjoy that. Make sure your friends, that is one of those things that is, you don't have to be a shooting enthusiast to enjoy. I think everybody enjoys, pumpkin demolition and that sort of thing. I know that was one of the things my students would always comment on, the pumpkins and the pumpkin carving, that kind of stuff. It gets out of the shooting community. That's one reason the pumpkin carving, I guess, is always so popular. And it gets out just about every year in a lot of blogs around the country and news outlets. And somebody was telling, I didn't see it, but it ran on Red Eye last week, I guess. Again, Greg Gutfeld he likes what we do, basically. But he doesn't run gun videos much. But he has run over the years, he has run 2 or 3 of the pumpkin carvings, and I think a couple of pumpkin kills. So he sort of keeps up with our pumpkin demolition endeavors. And and then of course a lot of outlets have run that stuff. Leno ran, what was it he ran? It was a pumpkin carving, I guess, 2 years ago. But those kinds of things are more general interest, so they get out there a little bit more out of the shooting community and bring in some more trolls. People hate guns, but they like to see pumpkins get smashed, so they come in and give it a hard time. We're glad to have. I jest there. We do see that as it's coincidentally and accidentally, but that has been good because it does bring people into the shooting community or shooting channel that might not have otherwise found us. They see somebody carving a pumpkin with a pistol, and they come over and maybe they land on one of the gun safety things that are new shooters and some other videos, and they learn a little bit just enough about firearms. Didn't think they had any interest in firearms. Maybe they're a young person, maybe they're an old person, and they find something interesting about the videos, and maybe we've hooked a few that way. So that's probably all been good. Just kind of a random coincidence, just because of the way I have been carving pumpkins for the last decade, and gathering my Christmas tree, and those kinds of things tend to get out there into the general populace, and hopefully we get a few new recruits to the shooting world from that. So anyway, I guess I had better shut up. I've rambled enough. The Titans have already started playing. I need to get in there and see if I can root them on a little bit. And I will talk to you later, okay? Y'all make sure that you get out and get to a range this week. Have a little fun with firearms. Do something. And if possible, get somebody else involved. And of course, the most important thing is that we try to represent what we do the best that we can. Hopefully we represent ourselves well, whatever we're doing. And of course, that takes care of a lot of that, doesn't it? People who just know you, and then they know that you are interested in firearms, and they know you're a sensible person, that speaks volumes. That shouts without saying anything. That speaks very loudly right there. Just being a sensible person, and letting it be known that you're a firearms enthusiast. And I think that's important too. And I've talked about before. If you possibly can, I know some of you may work in environments, or whatever. If you got family members or somebody that just die if they knew you had a firearm, and I know that gets a little tricky. But when you can, let it be known that you're a firearms collector or enthusiast, that you go to the range. Other people talk about going to play golf or tennis or whatever they're doing. You may do that too, but if you shot on Saturday, just casually mention it, where you were Saturday. I was at the shooting range. I didn't get to see that game, or so. That's what I have always tried to do, and just bring it up very casually like that. And I guess partly because the stubborn streak in me, I resent the fact that it maybe is not considered mainstream, or at least it used to not. I think now it is. But I would just casually mention that, like not daring somebody to have a problem with it, but because I've never been confrontational about it, but just be perplexed if they did have a problem with it, or just casually mention that. And yeah. So anyway, support the hobby and do something productive, and mainly get out and shoot. I might just get out here later after the ball game and shoot this old 1866. Gosh, what a beautiful firearm. I know you want to hear that lever one more time, right? Beautiful, beautiful. It's no wonder we love these firearms. They're a lot of them are just works of art. They really are. And I think I'm going to enjoy this work of art a little bit later. You guys have a great week, and you know that life is good.
You've been listening to the Hickok45 radio show. See you on the range.